Have you ever had one of those experiences where, despite everything and anything you'd ever allowed yourself to believe up until that point, you can't disprove what you know you saw? A lot of people have those experiences in life. Plenty of ordinary people who claim to have seen ghosts or UFOs. Men and women claiming lost time and coming to their physicians or the media with the unmistakable physical scars and remnants of a once skeptical life. Farmers who have found their cattle mutilated and physically violated by perpetrators unknown and unknowable. Crop circles, hundreds of miles wide and in algorithmic patterns that some college professors don't even know, much less some goofballs with a couple of boards and some rope. It all seems so impossible, until the one day you realize it isn't. This is my story. The story of the day that I realized that the impossible may no longer be quite so impossible. It was a dark night, stiflingly dark, and I was driving home from my summer job. I'd rather not say where I live or where I work, but suffice to say, it's a B-list theme park that wouldn't make a list of the top Disney competitors, unless every other theme park in the country shut down. And suffice it to say, it was a fairly long drive to and from my home, about 40 minutes or so. I'd just put in my fourth 12-hour day in a row, and I was eagerly anticipating getting out of this damn car, taking off my button-down shirt and too tight shorts, and just hitting the sack. It was late, nearing 10:30, and I still had another half hour or so to go. The night was hot, blisteringly hot, nearing 89. At its peak in the afternoon, and especially on the blacktop, the temperatures topped off at a stupidly hot 105 degrees. As I drove along, pushing my jalopy of a car to 65, I wondered how long my gas would hold out. Now mind you, I don't pump my own gas. I'm not sheltered or spoiled, but not having to pump your own gas is one of those modern conveniences, like a drive-through ATM or a McDonald's. I'll just never give up on it. But it was late, and I knew that most of the places that did full service were closed. But there was one place open. Maybe they'd still be running full service. I was coming to it now. The blackened edges of the road on my right were nothing but open fields and cow pastures. I was entering what locals simply called the res, a stretch of land that one could drive straight through in 20 seconds and be back on American land without realizing it, unless you made a left turn. Turning left would send you into the res proper, Native American country. A series of small residential homes, gas station, cigarette stores, a head shop, and even a good little barbecue place. During the day, it was perfectly innocuous. It was honestly the cheapest gas around. Everybody went there. During the day. Right now, it was nearing 11 p.m. The stores would be closed and the people would be long gone. I'd heard from plenty of people over the years, some family, friends, even co-workers, that you should absolutely not ever make that left turn into the inky darkness at night. That something lurked in those lands that the white men had been nice enough to let the natives stay on. Nobody could ever quite say what. Bullshit, I muttered to myself, flipping my blinker on. It was turn left, into the black yawning abyss that lay in that direction. Head back another 20 minutes to the neon-lighted truck stop and Denny's combo that I drive past every day. Or risk running out of gas trying to make it further into civilization. I turned left. As I came to the straightaway that led to the res, the res being the name of the actual gas station and store on the land. I turned my brights on, and perhaps, instinctively, turned my radio down. I didn't know what I wanted or thought I'd hear, but some part of me was a little creeped out. It was a long, dark road, with nothing but quiet residential houses locked in a gentle, nighttime slumber in large open swaths of fields. About halfway down, before the main store on the right about where the speed limit switches back to 55, there's a tiny cigarette store. More of a shack, really. At this hour, it was distinctively closed. But under the tiny outside light that shined from its spot above the door, I noticed some brief movement. Despite the heat and late night air, I shivered slightly. Damn, those stupid stories are getting to me, I said to myself. I was tired. 12 hours of annoying little kids, bratty teenagers, and angry parents will do that to a person. It could have been anything. A trick of the light, an animal, heat shimmer from the cement parking lot heating up to the 100+ degree heat. Who knew? Finally, I made it to my destination and pulled in. Just like I knew it would be. The place was abandoned and locked up tight for the night. I pulled my car next to a pump and got out. The only lights around were a bank of lights that illuminated anything under the pumps, a large floodlight on a pole that lit up part of the immediate area, and a motion-activated light near the tiny wooden box that could generously be called a building, where employees made change and waited for customers during the day. There were a couple streetlights further up the road, where the road bent around a sharp corner that led deeper into the reservation territory. I was alone. Fumbling, I got my wallet out from my back pocket and attempted to swipe my card. Declined. Fuck off, I said to no one in particular. Trying my other emergency card, it worked. I locked the dispenser into the open gas hole with a satisfying clunk. The one problem with these old pumps, I began to realize, was that they took forever to actually pump a full tank of gas. I waited absent-mindedly, checking my phone, before I heard a sound that practically made my skeleton dislodge itself from my insides. It was the sound of loose gravel and walking. A soft, quiet, fairly steady walking that sounded like it was coming from the road. I quieted my breathing and reminded myself, in my head, that everybody had been feeding me stories. Just stupid stories. I was an adult, 30 years old. I wasn't huge, but I can fight if I need to. And I was 3 feet away from my damn car. A car that wouldn't fill up with gas fast enough. It was about then that I saw him. He walked with a rather awkward but still somehow steady gait from just up the road. Finally illuminated by the nearest streetlight, I could make him out. He was an older guy, probably in his late 40s or early 50s. He wore jeans and a plain white shirt. "Hey, can I get some help, son? Please?" the man asked. His voice was raspy. "What happened?" I responded. I didn't know why, but I wanted to keep my distance. So I asked him without stepping out from under the pumps. He stepped forward, wavering slightly. "Happened?" the man asked again. "Yeah, what happened? Was there some kind of accident?" I asked. For whatever reason, I still don't feel all that safe to go around this guy. Without realizing it, I backed up further, bumping into the back of my car. "Accident," the man stated. Finally, As if on cue, the gas pump clicked and my receipt printed, the sound of which, again, almost separated my skin from my bones. "Car accident?" I asked. I didn't want to, but I turned my back and placed the nozzle back in its holder. I didn't bother with the receipt. As I turned back around, I noticed the man still hadn't moved again. Thankfully. His lip quivered for the briefest of moments before he started speaking again. "Accident. Car. Help." A car accident? Of course. That makes perfect sense. That would serve to explain his odd behavior, and maybe even his odd posture in walking. "Shit, are you hurt?" I asked. "Hurt? Shit. Accident," he responded, nonsensically. I didn't get it. Maybe this guy hit his head pretty hard. "Hold on, let me pull my car around and I'll call for help. Then we'll take a ride down and you could show me where it happened," I said, once again wincing inwardly as I turned my back on the guy and got in my car. I turned my car on and noted the full tank of gas. The only reason I was here. If I hadn't needed gas, this poor old dude would have been stranded out here until morning. I pulled my car around and started turning down the radio, noting some blaring advertisement about used mattress stores and financing options. I pulled my phone out, and suddenly, no reception. "Hey man, do you get any reception out this way? I'm not getting anything." "Reception?" asked the man, seemingly confused by the term. He stuck his hand in his left pocket and ruffled around, before pulling out an ancient-looking flip phone. I got out and walked over to the guy, preparing to use his phone. Looking down, I noticed his fingernails for the first time. They were long, disgustingly long, almost claw-like. And the phone was weird too. It was tan, almost a flesh color. Looking closer, I began to notice it wasn't actually a phone. My mind began to race, with static filling the inside of my head, where all rational thought should have been. That thing wasn't a phone. It was a fucking flesh-colored square, sprouting from the palm of his hand. "Sir? What are you?" I sputtered. "You. You." The man sputtered again. "Help. Financing options. Accident." It seemed so trivial at the time. So minuscule, compared to the claw nails that could probably carve a person up like a Thanksgiving turkey, or the flesh-colored fake phone that he'd seemingly materialized onto his hand at will. But the thing that will always haunt my memories about that night seems so goofy when you say it out loud. When that guy, that fucking thing, said financing options during his nonsensical diatribe. He sounded like a recording, exactly like my radio, down to the brief static and sudden volume drop as I turned it down. And that's when I realized it. I'd been feeding this thing lines the entire night. The only time it didn't speak after me was when it spoke first. But how did it do that then? And that's when I realized. As I'd been absent-mindedly poking around on my phone while waiting for my car to fill, I'd hit on an auto-playing ad for some theme park, some Looney Tunes park. It was that damn rooster dude, and his exact line was, "Do you need some help having fun this summer, son?" That bastard took a line from a cartoon chicken vocabulary lessons from me, and a radio ad for used mattresses, and tried to lure me to God knows where. Stunned and beyond terrified, I looked up again. Suddenly, whatever man facade this thing had was long gone. I looked into the eyes of a creature not born of human means, not meant for human eyes, and evil, so spectacularly evil that it's barely within human reasoning. This creature's eyes were black voids. Whatever sources of light were around us died as they entered the vacuum of this thing's face. Its nose was barely a lump. Its mouth hung limply open, full of dozens, if not hundreds of razor-sharp teeth. Its mouth curled into a smile, if such a creature even knew the concept of happiness. My eyes burned at the sight of it, and my nostrils burned at the smell of copper and burning pennies that seemed to suddenly permeate the air. Despite my legs feeling like cement, I ran. I booked it back to my trusty car. That thing, that foul beast born of 1,000 godless hells, gave a brief chase before retreating back into the darkness. I think by seeing its true face, it realized I wouldn't have been easy prey. I'm not foolish enough to think that I tricked it. It gave itself away. Maybe it realized that it messed up when I challenged it. Maybe when it screamed my radio station's commercial back at me. I don't know. All I know is, I drove off and didn't look back. I couldn't stop sweating for hours after I got home, and the smell of burning pennies was seemingly baked into my clothes for weeks afterwards. Guys, I've never been a supernatural believer before, but after that night, I can say that at least one of these stories are true. I don't know how to win, and I don't know how to kill it. I just know, never get gas at night. Avoid those dark corners of the earth where the unknown treads. And just hope whatever entity you pray to, that those dark corners of the earth don't find you.